Hi, this is Ian Eagle from CBS Sports. Wex On Wex Off starts right now with Jason Wexler.
Another exciting edition of Wex On Wex Off. We'll waste no time going out to the phones. Joining us now, NBC Sports, Noah Eagle. Noah, how you doing?
Jason, I'm doing wonderful. How are you? This is actually a pleasure. Do I actually get to Wex On and Wex Off, or am I only Wexing on? What's the deal?
We're going to give it a shot. I mean, we're going to see how good you are with the sponge, my man.
I love it.
So you come here for the hard-hitting questions. What are your thoughts on people that say you're a nepotism hire?
Well, I mean, my name starts with an N, so maybe it's all just about synergy at the end of the day. But I don't pay much attention to it, Jason. I go, I do my job, I try to do it at a high level, and let the rest take care of itself. Treat people the right way, but people are going to say what they want to say. Everybody's going to have their own opinion on things, and that's life in a nutshell. I'm sure we all have opinions on a variety of subjects, and we would all disagree on a variety of subjects. My objective in life: go have fun and enjoy what I do and try to do it at a high level. I feel like I've gotten to that point with majority of what I've had to do so far.
And I want to get a little bit deeper into that in all seriousness. We talk about how the players could block out the noise. We talk about how they're not paying attention to the media members who are saying this, that, the other. You know that you're talented. You know that the opportunity is there. How do you block the haters out?
I think if you enjoy what you do and really enjoy the process, I think such as life, I feel like when you're having a good time and you're positive and you're smiling and you're doing things that you love, generally the things that follow you are positive as well, and you have good things coming back to you, treating people well, that karma sense of put good in, get good out. I feel the same way about the job, so I really am just focused on my own performance, how I feel about it, valuing the opinions of those that I do trust, valuing the opinion of those that I really appreciate and respect and love. And as long as I have them in my corner, that's all I need at the end of the day. Of course, do you want to be liked by everyone? Of course. I think that's natural. But nobody will ever be universally 100, 1,000% liked. So you have to know that going into this business.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And we know you have the obvious person to reach out to, and that's your father, who, by the way, is you said who?
Who?
Yeah, right. So you don't know this, and this is why I love a live, and by live I mean recorded when I have time to put it up on YouTube podcast. Your father is actually the voice of this, and if we don't like his take, we just use Kevin Harlan's.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You can get a little extra into the voice.
No, I hear that from the beginning of your freshman year of high school, you said, I got to focus on basketball. From what I see, you can't dunk. So what's the process like at high school when you're looking, you know what you want to do, you come in, you're 14, 15, and you know what you got to do to get yourself there. What's it looking like while you're going through high school, knowing that you kind of already know what you want to do, and it's just about practice?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I dunked one time. I wish there was video. There's zero proof of it. But you just have to take my word for it, Jason. I promise it happened. No, the dunking and the high flying acrobatics was not in my wheelhouse. I didn't have that deep in my bag. What I did have was a will and desire to do this, and as mentioned, to do it at as high of a level as I possibly could. And with that, yeah, it was nice kind of knowing what I had at least a focus on. I didn't know 100% that I was going to do play-by-play. I didn't know 100% that I was going to go into sports. I just knew that I liked performing. I could get in front of people and I could make a speech and feel good about it. When I was in 5th grade, I had a teacher that came up to me and said, "You're going to do public speaking one day." And I said to her, "No, I'm going to play in the NBA one day." And then that dream got shattered within half a year. And so once you recognize that your athletic ability and your vertically challengedness is going to limit that, I pivoted to that next step, which was something that I enjoyed. And so as long as I was enjoying it, my goal was try everything possible when I got to college. I really didn't do a whole lot of broadcasting in high school. The most I really did was the morning announcements my senior year. But when I got to Syracuse and get to college, I just said, okay, I'm going to try every sport. I'm going to try every possible broadcasting position, whether that's play-by-play, hosting, sideline reporting, whatever I can do. I'm going to write. I'm going to do a variety of things. And then I'm going to narrow it down based on what I loved doing the most, what gave me that excited feeling to go back. And eventually that was doing games, that was hosting, and I've tried to couple the two of them into a career.
So we talk all the time about players getting the call, the minor league baseball player getting the call, whomever. Where were you when you got the call from AM 570 LA Sports?
Yeah, that's funny. I was actually in my house in New Jersey I grew up in, so I just moved back from college. 2 days after I got back, I was literally in my dad's office talking to him. And I'd interviewed for the TV job initially with the Clippers. That was the job that I went through. I interviewed and auditioned for. And we were talking, and he said, I haven't heard anything, so don't take this as anything other than just me speculating, but, I think they could easily move the radio guy up and give you the radio job. I've seen that happen before, and it wouldn't shock me if that happened. Just seems like you did well in the interview, and probably did well in the audition. And I was like, yeah, whatever. He goes, well, would you take it? I was like, well, yeah, I would take it. What position am I to turn it down and say no? And I remember we were getting ready for dinner, so I walked toward my room, I got dressed, and as I put my final piece of clothing on, I think my shirt, it was like I finally wiped out any wrinkle, and I get a call from an LA number, and I'm like, whoa. And sure enough, it was the team and the president from the team saying, hey, we're moving our radio guy up to TV, but we'd like to offer you the job for radio. And at that moment, I knew that my dad was a witch. He's a witch of a person. I don't know if he has made a deal with the devil. Whatever he's done, he predicted it. It was like Tony Romo his first year at CBS. It happened exactly as he said it would. But it was a spectacular night. We celebrated that night. I told them officially yes on that Sunday, and, I didn't look back from there.
So they moved Brian up, and Ralph retires, I believe. So bingo, you're in there. And radio or TV, where if you had to pick one, which one is a bigger challenge for you, and which one do you like more? Because I don't know if that's necessarily the same answer there.
Yeah, I don't know if either one is I would consider a bigger challenge. They just pose different skills. The same skill overarching, which is what does the audience need? But that changes. The answer to that changes based on what you're doing. On TV, the audience needs the aid to the picture versus on radio, the audience needs the whole picture. But that can be fun when you're in complete control over what someone is getting, all the information that they're bringing in. That's an amazing feeling. It's empowering, and it's fun because you have a blank canvas that you get to paint entirely the way you want to paint. Versus on TV, you have to follow along with the pictures, with the graphics, and a lot of the other things. However, the difference there is on TV, you've got a full team. You've got a full squad of people that are working with you. So it's the closest you're going to feel to being in a locker room without being in a locker room. I don't know if I can pick one over the other. I enjoyed my time with the Clippers on radio so much, but I love doing TV because of that camaraderie so much. So they're different, but they're both. There's really no going wrong because I know that every time I showed up for a Clipper game, I was grinning ear to ear in excitement, and every time I've shown up to do a football game or a basketball game on TV, that same feeling's been there. So I can't really differentiate that much.
Listen, we hear Kawhi Leonard's a fun guy. Can you confirm?
I can confirm. Fun guy. I know it's shocking to the outside world. You don't get to see it, but his teammates, they will not shut up about how funny this dude is. And I've kind of seen it. It's because he knows that he can deliver a joke in the same tone that he says everything else. So his sense of humor is so dry that it catches you off guard all the time. But he's a deceptively smart guy in how he maneuvers himself and operates. And I'll tell you this much. He works as hard as any person I've ever seen. His rehab and his workouts, when he was rehabbing his torn ACL, we would see him on the road, and he would be in the hotel gyms when he would come on road trips. So you'd watch his workouts, and I've never seen anything like it before. It was some of the most just maniacal work I've seen in my life. And so so long as he stays healthy, I know that come playoff time, he is going to be one of the best players in the world. But obviously, a big if and the hope is that he can get at least one more just classic all-time playoff run for that team.
And there's Kawhi Leonard, two-time champion, good teammate, funny guy. But I would say the poster child for load management, which in my opinion is running the NBA.
I mean, I hear you, but I will say this about him and about a lot of the players. I think they see a lot of their coaches and former players. You know, Doc Rivers was there my first year. And if you look at Doc Rivers, who's now going to be broadcasting again, which is going to be very enjoyable to watch, if you see him walk, it's not normal. And he'd be the first to admit it. And obviously he was helping along with Kawhi and making sure that he was getting his proper rest the first year with the Clippers. And we would ask him, and he'd say, "Do you see the way I walk? Do you see I look like a question mark?" And he did. He looks like a walking question mark. And he's hunched over. And I think Kawhi sees that. I think a lot of these guys see that. They say, we don't want that the rest of our life. We can prolong our career and show up for the postseason. You know, Kawhi is not sitting out postseason games. He's legitimately injured. He tore his ACL 2 years ago, and he tore his meniscus this year. It's not like, and by the way, he tried to play through both of those injuries. He was pleading to the team to let him play through a torn ACL and a torn meniscus. He wants to be on the court when it matters the most. I just think that he listens to the medical professionals to make sure he's doing the most with his body and maximizing his quality of life past basketball.
That's fair enough. You know, Noah, they talk about seamless transitions and questions that run into one another and whatever, but I only have so much time for you, so I'm just going to go all over the map. The 10-minute NFL overtime, big problem. Not long enough.
But I don't know, because I feel like the 10 minutes, it requires such urgency. I kind of like the 10-minute urgency. And
put the ball at the 2-yard line, man. Try to punch it in.
So you like the college overtime rules more?
I just don't like that we're ending in a tie.
But do you like the college overtime rules more?
If it prevents us from ending in a tie, sure.
That's fair. Like, obviously, in a playoff game, you're never going to end in a tie. I find it kind of funny how a tie can come back to either hurt or help a team at the very end of the season. I find that stuff fascinating. I remember the Eagles one year, many years ago, might have been when they first got Michael Vick. They had tied early in the season, and it came back to help them in a huge way getting into the playoffs, and then they, I think, won a playoff game. I find that stuff awesome. So call me a sicko. I can be part of the Sicko Committee's Twitter account, or X account, I guess now. But I do find that stuff interesting. I think it provides a little extra burst of just entertainment.
Yeah, you don't do baseball to my knowledge, but the shift being abolished, the worst thing to happen to sports in our lifetime?
No. You want more shifts? You want more outs?
Listen, if you can hit the ball the other way, maybe I should bat.
I do think that there's a slight problem in some sports where we have shifted too far to try to create more offense. So I can't hate the take in that sense. But I did hate the shift. It felt unnatural to me in baseball. To me, you know exactly where everyone is playing in their position, and the whole idea is to get the best player at every position to be able to make the best plays at that position. So I don't want to see the shortstop playing in right field. It made no sense to me.
I don't know. Why shouldn't he be able to go back on the grass, and you got to be on either side of the diamond? Listen, we love the pitch clock, right, Noah?
I do love the pitch clock, yeah. I think everybody can agree with that.
LeBron or Jordan?
Jordan greatness, LeBron skill. But Jordan's the GOAT.
What do you think the biggest thing that you've taken from your father is professionally? We'll start there.
Professionally, always to be yourself and have fun on the air. So everything that you are off the air, bring it. You know, don't go overboard, but bring it with you on the air and make sure that essence always comes through.
And what about personally?
Personally is just how you handle yourself in the world, how you treat other people. Watching him, you know, I'd go to games with him, and everyone would say, "Oh, how cool is it? You get to go in the press booth." And I was like, "Yeah, it's amazing." But what always stood out when we were leaving is how he knew everybody's name, he remembered facts about them, and genuinely took an interest in all of them. And that's what I took away from him as a person, and that's what I try to emulate more than anything else.
And I told you I'd fangirl in the beginning, but we just kind of started after I messed up the first 3 takes. But look, that's my favorite part of this, my man. I shoot one text over to my buddy Chris Lucy, and I get your phone number back. But let's be honest, you knew that it was coming because last week I was out to dinner with a couple of friends, and my roommate who works for Sports Illustrated goes to the bathroom, and I'm talking to the other women at the table, and she goes, "Oh, you used to work in sports? That's cool." She said, "My friend Noah used to work in sports. He's actually moved back from LA. He was doing some work for the Clippers." And I was like, "Oh my God." Did she realize what she just said? And she goes, "Oh, why, you know him?" I said, "Oh, do we know him?" "Oh, come on." So your father has been my continued profile picture on my phone since 2015. I haven't found anybody ready to replace that. What I really appreciate is that there's a broadcasting brotherhood.
Big time. Big time. Fully exists. And you hear the word, I think fraternity gets thrown around a lot. And I definitely heard that when I first started at the NBA and said, people are welcoming me to that fraternity. But I think brotherhood or just family is a much better way to put it. You just feel like no matter what, we all, at least in theory, should have everybody's back and make sure we're looking out for each other. And if there's ever anything that any other broadcasters need, I try to be there. I try to be of service. I try to be as much of help as possible. But I'm glad to hear that Big Bird or Papa Bird is your background. But we'll see what we can do to change that over time. We'll see if we can just add to that element. Maybe we go double Bird at some point. Really hammer it home.
Well, listen, we're going to have you say the accounts and descriptions could not be disseminated without express written consent. We're just not there yet.
I love it. I'm going to need the copy sent to me, though. You're going to have to send that to my agents.
You're going to send it to me. Your father sent it to me from his phone. What do you mean?
No, you're right. He has mastered that. That's the thing. I don't know if anyone has said it as fast, because when he did it for the NBA, I don't know if anyone has said it as fast and said it and delivered it consistently fast as he has. It's impressive.
No, have you ever done track and field?
No, but after my dad did it for years, it's
yes, he
something
did.
I've always been intrigued by. And honestly, he loved it, and his reasoning was honestly spot on. He said every race is a good race. Every race is a highlight because either it's a blowout or it's a close race, and that's awesome.
I flipping the channels once, and I go, I don't watch track and field, and I'm bored, and I'm sitting there on a Saturday, and I go, oh my God, they have him doing this. What is wrong with them? Track and field. You guys are doing your Kenny Albert impersonation.
Look, being at NBC, the good thing is just with all their Olympic sports that they have, you never know what I might get put on one day. And I'm ready. I'm ready to expand my boundaries. So we'll see what that looks like, but I'm down for anything.
The biggest area you have to improve on as a broadcaster?
Yeah, I think that everybody can get better at this as they keep going, but just having a complete, not understanding, a mastery of the rules of every sport that I do. I think that the best broadcasters have it, and they're ready with it. And now you've got rules analysts, especially in football, which helps. But you want to feel like you know everything that's going on, and I just think that's difficult. I think there's so many rules that people don't think of, and so many little infractions that people don't know about. So I'm trying to get there one day.
Listen, we both don't know what a catch is, and that's okay.
100%. But who does?
Nobody. We don't. What is a football move? I don't know, dude. Did Des catch the ball? Did Des catch the ball, man?
I would say Des caught it. Yeah, Des caught it.
All right, I gotta ask this one for my dad. The MC of Nets basketball. The gentleman that's running around with Slide, that's on the bicycle, that's doing his thing, that gets himself over to Newark at the Prudential Center for a couple of years, doesn't seem to make the move over to Brooklyn. What's going on with that guy? Where's he at?
David Diamante. Are you talking about David Diamante?
Yes, sir, I am.
So David Diamante is now a ring announcer for a lot of boxing matches. In fact, he was just in. Was he in Creed 3? He was in a movie recently. But he's a great dude. He was an awesome dude. But yeah, he's using those big time pipes in a much, I would say, more useful and realistic fashion because he belonged as a buffer. He could be a long lost buffer, brother. He could be like the third buffer.
Are you ready to rumble?
Oh, I'm always ready to rumble. And I know Dave is always there to provide it.
Listen, I know nothing about tennis, so I'll just go with the generic. Who's the best tennis player? Yeah, all time.
Ever?
All time.
That's a hard question to answer. I've been a Nadal guy my whole life, and I think it's similar to that LeBron Jordan question where you're going to get a different answer from everybody. Nadal is, when you hear my GOAT, where you had kids coming out for the NBA draft saying Paul George was their GOAT. Paul George is not the greatest player of all time, but it's the guy that they sat and watched and wanted to be like. That was Rafael Nadal my whole life. But the problem is it's impossible to ignore what Novak Djokovic has done. And when it's all said and done, he's going to have the most accolades. He's going to have the greatest accomplishments. He's going to have some of the greatest wins. And it's just, you can't ignore it. Serena Williams, if we're going complete totality, she's right there. I think she's in the conversation. But Novak's probably going to end up with more majors than she did. He's probably going to end up with more majors than anybody. I will say that Carlos Alcaraz, considering he's done it already at this young age, he's still a teenager. He's got 2 majors, including the Wimbledon, in just his second year playing on grass. He's an alien. And if there's no one in his way, Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer at each other, if there's nobody in Carlitos' way, there might be no doubt. He might just provide too much overpowering evidence that he's going to be the greatest when it's all said and done.
What's your favorite sport to watch and then your favorite sport to announce?
Basketball for both. I grew up around it, especially with the Nets and my dad. And so that was a passion early. The NBA was a passion early. And getting to call it for 4 years, I got so comfortable on top of the love that it just catapults number one. But football's a very close second. I just love both those sports.
And look, to me, you had the best job in the world. And, there was another opportunity for you at NBC Sports. And I'm sure not an easy decision for you to make. But, what made you decide it was time to make a move?
Yeah, I think, to your point, it was difficult being with the Clippers and getting to call so many classic games there and getting to be around and travel with the team was a dream. That was literally what I dreamed. We talked about and joked about how I couldn't dunk or do any of that stuff. This was basically allowing me to be a part of the team and feel like I was in the NBA in a sense. And that was amazing. But the opportunity at NBC was far too good for me to pass up. And more importantly with them, I believe that they elevate their broadcast to a different level. I think if you look at who they've had, they don't have this laundry list of people. It's a select number of people that have reached that top of NBC Sports prime time delivery, whether it's a Bob Costas, Marv Albert back in the day, or more recently Al Michaels and Mike Tirico. Those are all-time names, and they provide all the resources for them to go from really good to great to spectacular. And that's what I want. I want to keep improving. I don't want to be just satisfied with where I am right now. I'm never that way. And the second I get that way is the second I'll retire. So I know that they're going to be right there with me to help me improve every step and make sure I'm a better storyteller by the end of this.
We're going to continue jumping around here. Is there any chance Damian Lillard ends up in Brooklyn?
There's a chance. I think there's a chance of anything. I would say there's maybe the smallest amount of chance that he ends up back in Portland. I think that relationship is done. So he wants to go to Miami. I don't think the Blazers want to send him to Miami. So there's a chance that he could go to Brooklyn, but it would take a lot on both sides.
Was Dwight Howard better than Nikola Jokic in his prime?
No.
All right.
Dwight Howard with a more physical presence, a physical force, defensively much better, but Jokic controls the game more than Dwight ever could.
No, anything else you feel the need to add?
I mean, you covered a lot here. I respect that I felt the Wex On and the Wex Off. And no, I don't know if there's anything that I can think of at the top of my head, but that was a nice finish. The first time I've ever been asked Dwight Howard, Nikola Jokic, and it took me a second to really think about it. But Jokic is one of the most. I'll add this just about him because I feel like people finally are starting to give him credit. But the first year I was with the Clippers was the year the Nuggets and Clippers played in the playoffs in the bubble. And after that series, I've never been more convinced that there was a more unstoppable player that I've ever had to witness than Nikola Jokic. He's truly an unstoppable force. I don't know if we'll ever see anything quite like it again. He just can do so many things, and so I'm just going to give him his flowers because I think he deserves it.
Now, have you ever done a live recorded take before?
Have I ever done a live recorded take?
Yeah, I don't know if that exists, but are you ready? The accounts and descriptions of this podcast cannot be disseminated without express written consent.
You're going to have to repeat it one more time. I'm going to have to get this down.
You know what to say. The accounts and descriptions of this podcast cannot be disseminated without express written consent. But, you put on the broadcaster voice and you jazz it up a little bit.
The accounts, because this is what happens. Is all I think of it is one run-on sentence that my dad does. I can't do it without the copy in front of me. I'm telling you.
I should have sent it to you. All right, we'll work on that.
Ready to go. I know that with a copy, I feel I can deliver it.
You know that that's coming your way then, right?
Oh, it's ready.
Noah Eagle of NBC Sports here on Wex On Wex Off. He's got both the Wex On and the Wex Off. Noah, thanks so much.
Oh, I appreciate you having me, Jason. This is a lot of fun.
Next week, the more talented Iron Eagle.